Assalamu alaikum, this is Maria Zulfikar welcoming you to the English news from Btv Chattogram. Let's begin with the top stories. General holiday declared on February 11 and holiday on February 10 for workers in industrial areas for national polls and referendum. Formal campaigning of candidates for 13th national polls begins following Code of Conducts. People's wealth smuggled abroad in the name of development for 16 years, says Tariq Rahman, launching BNP's formal election campaign in Sylhet. NCP's formal election campaign begins with visit to shrines of three leaders and grave of Osman Hadi. Testimony against 7 accused, including Obadul Qadir, in crimes against humanity case on February 17. Eleven Palestinians killed in Israeli attacks amid Gaza ceasefire while Tel Aviv demolishes UN headquarters in Jerusalem. And Bangladesh women's cricket team confirms Super 6 of ICC T20 World Cup qualifiers, crushing Namibia by 80 runs in Nepal. Viewers, those were the top stories. Now moving on to the details. The Council of Advisors approved a proposal declaring public holiday on February 11, apart from the public holiday on the voting day on February 12, to facilitate voter participation and ensure proper law and order management ahead of the polls. The Council gave the approval at its weekly meeting at the Chief Advisor's office, here with Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus in the chair. The Council also gave final approval to drafts of the Bangladesh Private Export Processing Zones Act Repeal Ordinance 2026, the Negotiable Instruments Amendment Ordinance 2026, the Bangladesh House Building Finance Corporation Amendment Ordinance 2026, the Gambling Prevention Ordinance 2026, the Dhaka Central University Ordinance 2026, the Private Educational Institutions, Teachers and Employees Retirement Benefits Board Ordinance 2026, and the Private Educational Institutions, Teachers and Employees Welfare Trust Ordinance 2026. The draft of the Right to Information Ordinance 2026 also got approval of the Council of Advisors. The meeting also approved the draft of the Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty between Bangladesh and Malaysia, a proposal to sign the Bangladesh-Japan Economic Partnership Agreement and the National Poultry Development Policy 2026. Later, Chief Advisor's Press Secretary Shafiqul Alam briefed the media at the Foreign Service Academy.
বড় শহরে আছেন তারা তাদের গ্রামের বাড়িতে যে যেখানে ভোটার সেখানে ভোট দিতে পারবেন এবং এই ক্ষেত্রে ল এন্ড অর্ডার যে ম্যানেজমেন্টটাও অনেকটা বেটার করা যাবে। তো আজকে এই ক্যাবিনেটের উইকলি মিটিং হয়েছে চিফ অ্যাডভাইজারের নেতৃত্বে। তো আজকের মিটিং এ এটা অ্যাপ্রুভ হয়েছে। 11 ফেব্রুয়ারি বুধবার সাধারণ ছুটি। আরো একটা গুড নিউজ হচ্ছে এটা হচ্ছে শ্রমিক ভাই বোনদের জন্য। অনেক শ্রমিক ভাই বোনরা বিভিন্ন শিল্পাঞ্চলে কাজ করেন, তো শিল্পাঞ্চলের শ্রমিক ভাই বোনদের জন্য এই ছুটিটা হবে 2 দিন। মঙ্গলবার শিল্পাঞ্চলের শুধুমাত্র শ্রমিক ভাই বোনদের জন্য। এটার উপরে একটা অফিসিয়াল অর্ডার খুব শীঘ্রই আসবে, আপনারা এটা পাবেন। মোট ছুটি হচ্ছে আসলে 3 দিন। ভোটের দিন ফেব্রুয়ারি 12 পুরোপুরি ছুটি অলরেডি ডিক্লেয়ার করা হয়েছে, আর হচ্ছে ফেব্রুয়ারি 11 বুধবার সাধারণ ছুটি সবার জন্য প্রযোজ্য, আর 10 তারিখ শুধুমাত্র শিল্পাঞ্চলের শ্রমিক ভাই বোনদের জন্য এটা ছুটি। জাতীয় পোলট্রি উন্নয়ন নীতিমালা 2026-এর খসড়া অনুমোদন হয়েছে। আমি বলবো যে খুবই ইম্পর্টেন্ট, বিকজ এটা বাংলাদেশের জনসাধারণ বেনিফিট পাবেন। বিশেষ করে বাংলাদেশের প্রায় 60 লক্ষ মানুষ প্রত্যক্ষ পরোক্ষভাবে এই পোলট্রি শিল্পের সাথে তারা ইনভলভ আছেন, যার মধ্যে 40% হচ্ছে নারী। পোলট্রি খাত যথেষ্ট এখন গুরুত্বপূর্ণ একটা খাত। আমাদের জিডিপির এটা প্রায় 2% এটার অবদান, এবং প্রতি বছর এটার গ্রোথ 3%-এরও বেশি, 3.19%। মাননীয় প্রধান উপদেষ্টার সভাপতিত্বে অনুষ্ঠিত উপদেষ্টা পরিষদের বৈঠকে ঢাকা সেন্ট্রাল ইউনিভার্সিটির অধ্যাদেশ 2026 অনুমোদিত হয়েছে। ঢাকার 7টি সরকারি কলেজকে একই একাডেমিক কাঠামোর আওতায় এনে উচ্চশিক্ষার গুণগত মান উন্নয়ন এবং দীর্ঘদিনের প্রশাসনিক জট নিরসনই এই অধ্যাদেশের মূল উদ্দেশ্য। নতুন অধ্যাদেশের মাধ্যমে ঢাকা কলেজ, ইডেন মহিলা কলেজ, বেগম বদরুন্নেসা সরকারি কলেজ, সরকারি শহীদ সরওয়ার্দী কলেজ, কবি নজরুল সরকারি কলেজ, সরকারি বাংলা কলেজ এবং সরকারি তিতুমির কলেজ সংযুক্ত কলেজ হিসেবে পরিচালিত হবে। কলেজগুলোর নিজস্ব পরিচয়, অবকাঠামো এবং স্থাবর অস্থাবর সম্পত্তির উপর তাদের অধিকার অক্ষুণ্ণ থাকবে। অধ্যাদেশে বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের জন্য আচার্য, উপাচার্য, সিনেট, সিন্ডিকেট ও একাডেমিক কাউন্সিল সহ পূর্ণাঙ্গ প্রশাসনিক কাঠামো রাখা হয়েছে। আচার্য হিসাবে মহামান্য রাষ্ট্রপতি দায়িত্ব পালন করবেন এবং সিনেট মনোনীত প্যানেল থেকে উপাচার্য নিয়োগ দিবেন। বিশ্ববিদ্যালয় মঞ্জুরি কমিশন ইউজিসি শিক্ষা, পরীক্ষা, গবেষণা ও প্রশাসনিক কার্যক্রম পরিদর্শন, মূল্যায়ন ও নির্দেশনার ক্ষমতা পাবে।
Election campaigning for the 13th Jatiya সংসদ polls began today as Election Commission completed the allocation of symbols to nearly 2,000 candidates contesting in the polls across the country. A total of 1,981 candidates will compete in the 298 constituencies out of 300. The EC said while giving reminder to the contenders that campaigning must comply with its code of conduct, which sets limits on rallies, use of campaign materials and the loudspeakers, and requires all activities to end 48 hours before polling day. Polling is scheduled for February 12, with voting to take place from morning until late afternoon. EC's Code of Conduct for Political Parties and Candidates 2025 stated that no registered political party, nominated candidate, independent candidate or their representatives may begin election campaigning more than 3 weeks before polling day. The code ensures equal rights for all candidates during campaigning. It strictly prohibits any obstruction, disruption, or intimidation of rival candidates, meetings, processions, or other campaign activities. Parties and candidates are required to submit their proposed campaign programs to the appropriate authorities before starting activities. If multiple parties or candidates plan to hold programs at the same venue and time, the authorities will coordinate them as necessary. Public meetings, roadside gatherings, or rallies cannot be held at places, roads, highways, or thoroughfares where public movement may be disrupted. Similarly, no representative of any party or candidate may organize events that cause any sorts of obstruction. The code also bans political parties and candidates from holding public meetings, rallies, or campaign activities abroad in connection with the election. The EC Code of Conduct also outlined the posters of any kind are prohibited in election campaigning. Campaign leaflets, handbills, festoons, and banners must not be produced with non-biodegradable materials such as resin, polythene, plastic, or any other environmentally harmful substances. No candidate or their representatives may affix campaign materials on buildings, walls, trees, fences, electricity or telephone poles, government or local authority installations, or on vehicles including buses, trucks, trains, steamers, launches, rickshaws, auto rickshaws, lagunas, taxis, and baby taxis within the electoral area. Candidates are also barred from placing banners, festoons, or billboards over those of rivals, or from damaging or destroying them. Except for electronic and digital media, all banners, leaflets, handbills, and festoons must be printed in black and white. The code prohibits processions, public meetings, or showdowns using buses, trucks, motorcycles, watercraft, or any other mechanical vehicles. Torch processions with or without vehicles are banned. Helicopters or aircraft may not be used for campaigning, though party chiefs, general secretaries, or equivalent office holders may use helicopters for travel purposes only. During such travel, no campaign materials may be displayed, distributed, or dropped. Besides, wall writing or drawings for election campaigning are strictly forbidden. Similarly, parties and candidates may not construct gates, arches, pandals, camps, or illumination structures that obstruct public movement. Each union, municipality, or ward within a parliamentary constituency may have only one billboard or a maximum of 20 billboards across the constituency, whichever is greater. The political arena of the country has entered full election mode as candidates across the country officially begin their campaign activities today ahead of the upcoming national election. Posters, banners, leaflets, and loudspeaker announcements have made constituencies vibrant, with candidates going door to door to present their pledges to the electorate. At the same time, the referendum has also emerged as a key topic of discussion. Voters have shown mixed reactions regarding the referendum. While some think it as a tool to strengthen democracy, others are seeking clearer explanations about its effectiveness and procedural framework. Voters want a free, fair, and participatory election. They are also demanding clear policy roadmaps from candidates, particularly on development, employment creation, and ensuring justice. Although campaigning has begun, voters are increasingly focusing less on promises and more on concrete and realistic plans of the candidates. At the same time, transparency and credibility surrounding the referendum have become key demands among the public. BNP Chairman Tariq Rahman today sought votes for his party's election symbol, Chief of Paddy, Dhanir Sheesh, in the upcoming 13th National Parliament polls slated for February 12. He also called for vigilance against conspiracies of vote robbery on the polling day. He said, Inshallah, when the BNP forms the government in the coming days, the party will inshallah run the country on the basis of the Prophet's, peace be upon him, justice. Tariq Rahman made the remarks while addressing the first public election rally at Sylhet Government Alia Madrasa ground this afternoon. He said those who fled this country are conspiring from abroad. In the July uprising, 13 people in Sylhet city gave their lives. A sinister quarter has already started conspiring against the path of achieving rights for which the countrymen have sacrificed their lives, added Tariq Rahman. Urging to maintain unity, he further said their conspiracy hasn't stopped inside the country either. On August 5, 2024, the people of Bangladesh proved that if the people of Bangladesh are united, they can indeed resist any conspiracy. The National Citizen Party (NCP) has begun its election campaign by paying homage at the mausoleum of the three national leaders and by visiting the grave of martyr Osman Hadi, spokesperson of the Inqilab Moncho. The party's convener, Nahid Islam, formally launched the NCP's election campaign today after offering prayers at the mausoleum at Dhaka University. Senior party leaders, including Chief Coordinator Nasiruddin Patwari, were present at that time. NCP convener Nahid Islam claimed that the party would secure a landslide victory and form a 10-party alliance government. He said that Dhaka University is deeply connected with everything related to this country, and therefore they are beginning this journey from here by remembering the ancestors of Bengal. Describing this election campaign as a journey of freedom against hegemony, he said the main agenda of the journey is to ensure justice for the killing of Inkilab Moncho spokesperson Sharif Osman Hadi. The campaign for the 13th National Parliament election has begun in the port city of Chattogram. As elsewhere in the country, candidates have been reaching the doorsteps of voters since the first day. From the alleys of Chattogram city to remote villages, there is an election atmosphere everywhere. Various pledges and development roadmaps are being made to win the hearts of voters. However, this time, the power of digital media in the campaign is greater than ever. Not only on the ground, but also the fight has intensified on social media, on smartphones, where candidates are highlighting their future plans. Special content has been created to attract young voters. Meanwhile, the Election Commission has issued a stern warning for violating the Code of Conduct. The returning officer said it is working to prevent propaganda through digital media. Executive magistrates are in charge of monitoring the Code of Conduct of the candidates in each constituency. In addition, law enforcement agencies are on alert to avoid chaos. The election campaign of the candidates will end on February 10. BNP will hold a grand rally at the historic polo ground in the port city of Chattogram on January 25. BNP chairman Tariq Rahman will attend the rally. A rally was held today at the initiative of the Chattogram Metropolitan BNP to make the January 25 Grand Rally a success. Metropolitan BNP member Secretary Nazimur Rahman, former General Secretary Abul Hashim Bakkar, and BNP candidate for Chattogram 9 constituency Abu Sufyan, along with leaders and activists of affiliated organizations, were present at the rally. Prosecutor Ghazi Ahmed Tamim has said that verdicts in at least 3 cases related to the July killings, including the Chankarpur case, may be delivered within the next 1 to 1.5 months. He made the statement today while briefing journalists at the International Crimes Tribunal. Meanwhile, in a case over crimes against humanity committed during the July mass uprising of 2024, Tribunal 2 has ordered the start of trial after formally framing charges against 7 absconding accused, including Obaidul Qadir, General Secretary of the Band Al-Malik. The submission of opening statements and the recording of testimonies in the case will begin on February 17. The order was issued today by Tribunal 2 led by Justice Nuzrul Islam Chaudhry. Prosecutor Ghazi Monwar Hussain Tamim said the prosecution has brought 3 charges against the accused for incitement, planning and execution of the July killings. Besides Obaidul Qadir, the other accused in the case are A.F.M. Bahuddin Nasim, Joint General Secretary of the Band Al-Malik, former State Minister for Information and Broadcasting Muhammad Ali Arafat, Jubilee Chairman Sheikh Fazle Shams Borosh, and its General Secretary Mainul Hussain Khan Nikhil, and the Band Chhatra League's Central President Saddam Hussain and General Secretary Sheikh Wali Asif Inan. On the other hand, the prosecution presented the second day of arguments today in the murder case of Abu Said, a student from Rangpur and the first martyr of the July mass uprising. The arguments began in the morning at Tribunal 2, led by Justice Nuzrul Islam Chaudhry. In addition, Tribunal 1 has directed that the investigation report in the case over the killing of 9 youths in the Jahajbaria area of Kollanpur in the capital in 2016, after portraying them as militants, be submitted by February 3. In the morning, 17 accused who are under arrest in these cases were produced before the tribunals. Chief of Army Staff General Waqar-uz-Zaman visited the Chattogram area this morning to assess the overall law and order situation ahead of the upcoming 13th parliamentary election and referendum, and to inspect army personnel deployed under in aid to the civil power. During the visit, the army chief observed the activities of the deployed troops on the ground, provided necessary guidance, and exchanged views with the civil administration. As part of the visit, General Waqar-uz-Zaman held a view exchange meeting at the Chattogram Circuit House with senior military officials, the Divisional Commissioner of Chattogram, representatives of law enforcement agencies from various districts, and senior civil administration officials. The discussions focused on inter-organization coordination and overall security management to ensure that the forthcoming national parliamentary election is held in a peaceful, neutral, and fair manner. The Army Chief emphasized the importance of performing duties with professionalism, neutrality, discipline, patience, and a citizen-friendly approach. Senior military officials, including the General Officer Commanding of the Army Training and Doctrine Command, the Commandant of EBRC, the Adjutant General, senior officials from Army Headquarters and Chattogram area, as well as the Divisional Commissioner, senior civil administration officials, and representatives of various media outlets were present during the visit. Now, international news. At least 11 Palestinians were killed in a series of Israeli strikes in a single day, including 2 children and 3 journalists. Gaza's health ministry said 6 others were injured in the attacks. The attacks carried out during the ceasefire have raised renewed concerns over the humanitarian crisis and the deteriorating security situation in Gaza. Director General of Gaza's Health Ministry, Munir al-Bursh, told Al Jazeera that the vehicle targeted on Wednesday was carrying photojournalists working for Egyptian Committee for Gaza Relief. The 3 journalists, Anas Ghunaim, Abdul Rauf Shad, and Mohammad Keshta, were on duty near the Netzarim corridor in central Gaza. In a separate Israeli attack in central Gaza, 3 members of the same family were killed, including a child. Meanwhile, a 13-year-old boy was shot dead by Israeli forces in southern Gaza, according to Al Jazeera. Palestinian officials said Israel has repeatedly violated the ceasefire brokered by the United States, which came into effect on October 10. They added that Israel continues to restrict the entry of food, medical supplies, and materials needed to build shelters into Gaza. Amid winter conditions, nearly 2.2 million people are facing a severe humanitarian crisis, with a large portion still living in makeshift tents. Separately, Israel has demolished the headquarters of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency UNRWA in Jerusalem using bulldozers. Israeli forces also fired tear gas at a UN vocational school in Kalantia in the occupied West Bank. Israel has accused UNRWA of cooperating with Hamas, an allegation the agency has consistently denied. The destruction marks Israel's latest move against the UN body, which provides assistance to millions of Palestinian refugees. UNRWA Commissioner General Philippe Lazzarini said such an attack on the United Nations has never been seen before, calling it a direct assault on international law. Japan has restarted operations at the world's largest nuclear power plant for the first time since the 2011 Fukushima disaster forced the country to shut all of its reactors. The decision to restart reactor number 6 at Kashiwazaki Kariwa, northwest of Tokyo, was taken despite local residents' safety concerns. It was delayed by a day because of an alarm malfunction and is due to begin operating commercially next month. Heavily reliant on energy imports, Japan was an early adopter of nuclear power. But in 2011, all 54 of Japan's reactors had to be shut after the most powerful earthquake it had ever recorded triggered a meltdown at Fukushima, causing one of the worst nuclear disasters in the history. This is the latest installment in Japan's nuclear power reboot, which still has a long way to go. The 7 reactor at Kashiwazaki Kariwa is not expected to be brought back on until 2030, and the other 5 could be decommissioned.